Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Badass Confidence Coach podcast. I think you all know me by now. I am Anna Marcolene, and this is my husband, Tim, my better half.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Some of the time.
Most.
Okay, so this is part 2 of how to have a healthier relationships. We talked about this last week, and this is the good stuff today, okay? So what I'm going to talk about today comes from Gottman theory, and I think I mentioned it last week, is a psychologist with his wife, and they wrote this theory. They had this love lab, which is very well known. I studied it in graduate school, and then I took courses and was going to become certified as a Gottman therapist. And I didn't go beyond, I think there's 3 levels. I only went through level 1. I didn't go to 2 or 3. I love the book, which I'm going to promote here. And no one's paying me to do this, of course, but I think everybody should have this book, which I'll show you in this episode. And I didn't go further with it because it's very formulaic for me as a therapist at that time who was seeing couples. I wanted to pull in theories and tactics and strategies from other couples' theories that I had learned over the years. So I didn't want to be pigeonholed and just be a Gottman therapist, but there's a lot of good stuff in here. And that's why I went to the continuing education, because there's so much you can learn. And I pull from it weekly with my clients. And I even use it with my individual clients, talking to them about ways that they can communicate better with their spouses and their partners. So
Nice.
Okay. Let me go back for a second, just share with all of you where this comes from. So John Gottman, I think it was in the early 80s. I watched this, or I think they made us watch it in graduate school. He had what was called the Love Lab, and I may have mentioned it on the podcast before. He had a Love Lab, and I saw him on 60 Minutes where he could predict within, I think, 2 minutes of watching a couple with 97% or 95% accuracy who would divorce and who would not, within like 2 minutes of watching a couple, based on their communication, how they spoke to one another. So it's fascinating. And it was a huge claim to make as a researcher, a scientist, and a psychologist to say that about, oh, you can watch couples for 2 minutes and you can know. Well, it was really amazing. So we had this love lab, this camping, almost like little houses in the state of Washington, where he had everything all set up. Cameras and video and audio. People were all hooked up, and they would stay there for 24 hours, and the researchers would watch them. And that's where he did this research. It was really fascinating. So from that came much of the work that he continued to do. So the book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. I think everybody who's in a relationship should have this book. I recommend it to my clients all the time. I still look through it now. I read this many, many years ago, but this is just a basically great book about how to communicate better with your spouse, your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your lover. Okay.
I like it.
All right. So that's where it comes from. So let me talk a little bit more about this Love Lab before we get into it. So through his research and through his data, John Gottman identified a concept called bids for connection. These are moments when one partner reaches out in any sort of way to the other person, verbally or non-verbally, for attention, affirmation, or affection. So the idea of, air quote, turning towards one another, which is what we're going to talk about today, it came from analyzing how consistently partners responded positively to these bids from each other. Let's get into it. Okay, so turning towards is what we're talking about today. And this is just one very small concept in John and Julie Gottman's work, but it's such a big one.
I'm ready for it.
Okay.
Is this the one where are we role playing today? Is that the episode?
I don't think so.
No, I thought we were.
We can if you want.
I thought there was a little bit of that today.
I don't know.
That's what you said.
We can do it.
Okay.
If they're listening on audio, they can't
true.
see it. So it's only for people who are on YouTube. So, yeah,
so go to
I don't
YouTube.
know if we'll do it. Yeah. So go to YouTube and watch us role play with each other. Okay. So, and before we get started, if you want to work with me, I want to invite you to come talk to me. Email me hello@annamarcolene.com. And this is for people who want to work with me. This is for coaching. No matter where you are in the world, I can coach you. And if you're looking for therapy, that's in the state of Illinois. So I'd be happy to get on a discovery call with you and to talk with you about what it is you need and how I can help you. All right. So please don't hesitate. Don't be nervous. Don't be scared. It's me. I show up as I am here. I'm the real deal, as people like to say about me. And I'd be happy to work with you. All right. Let's get started. Okay. Gottman talked about turning towards one another as a bid. Okay. So we make bids all the time to each other. We do. They're bids for connection. And we'll do it like in a comment that we make towards one another, a gesture. You make a lot of bids for connection through your ways of communicating, which we talked about. The love languages was a totally different book, different author, different way of communicating. And many of you who listen to this podcast and watch it, you know about the love languages. In the lay world, the lay public, it's something that I think many people, even my college age clients, know about the love languages. So your love language is affection. So that's a bid for connection for something from your partner. It can be a request or any sort of cue for interaction. And the other partner has a choice in what they're going to do with it. Okay. We talk about turning towards each other, turning away from one another, and turning against one another. Okay. So turning towards is you're acknowledging the person's bid for connection. You show interest back towards them, or maybe you even in that moment engage with them. So that's like when your partner or somebody comes over to you, stands next to you and looks you in the eye, makes eye contact with you. They may be making a bid for some sort of communication. They come over and they lean over to give you a kiss when they say hello or goodbye. That's a bid for affection. It's a bid for a quick acknowledgement and affection. You're sitting at the dining room table or the kitchen table and you're on your computer and you're making a comment. Your partner walks into the kitchen or walks into the room and you make a comment about something on the news and they stop and they look at you and you look up at them. You have made that bid for connection with them and they have acknowledged it. They've stopped. Oh, really? What's going on? Oh, really? What's it say? There you go. Okay. So that's turning towards one another. Turning away is ignoring or minimally responding to one another. And this isn't so much bad. I wouldn't call it bad. It's something that we also do all the time. So turning away is you're ignoring the other person. I know that I have done that. We have done that to each other when we have been just very busy and trying to read something or trying to focus on something. If you're trying to put a plan together for your swim group and I come in, I start talking to you and you're like, I can't right now. I have to concentrate. I got to get this done. I have to leave in 15 minutes. You're turning away, but I don't think of it as disrespectful. I also realize I'm asking you to totally stop what you're doing. And I know you're trying to focus on something else. Yeah. Okay.
And there's even moments we'll try and multitask. We'll try not to stop what we're doing because we want to give that other person a moment. And we also need to keep doing what we're doing. There'll be moments where we'll be irritated by that as that person that's coming in. But there'll be other moments where we'll be like, you know what? I get it. This person's busy and I want to say something to them and let's do both at the same time.
Right.
As best we can.
You're really good at that. There are times when I am really focused and dialed in on something. I just did a post about this yesterday and I didn't used to talk about it very much, but now it's like I talk about it all the time because I have no time for stigma and life's marching forward. I have attention deficit. I have ADHD. I've had it my whole life. I've never taken meds. We've got family members who have ADHD and they've taken meds and it's helped them wonderfully. I was too late. I got diagnosed just 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. Always known I've had it because I see myself and my kids. So never taken anything, but have worked really hard to find ways that will help me with my focus and my concentration. And I can do a whole episode on that actually, because I did something on TikTok yesterday and people want to know, well, exactly how did you do it? So I'm happy to share that if you all want me to share with you how I work with my attention deficit, just as a side note, because I think it's important that we talk about it more because it's been who I am. It's my personality. I was always like hyper and happy and wild and loved to have a great time when I was growing up, but it also got me into a lot of trouble. I was very much a disruptor in the classroom and many other places in my life. Yes. I like to have a good time. But now I have figured out the ways to concentrate. And one of them is what I do to really get dialed in. But once I'm dialed in, if you come in and you start talking to me about something else, I can't handle it. I'm like, no, go. And sometimes I think it may come across as rude, but I'm like, no, I can't talk to you. Or I will just ignore you. So we'll get into the next one. I turn away from you, but I think I shouldn't mind read. I can't do both.
No, I know.
Because it took me a bit to get into that, or like I've got my AirPods in and I'm fully dialed into what I'm listening. I can't have you, and you'll do this. You'll come over and you'll want something from me. It's hard for me to even like turn away for a second to give you a kiss. It just is how my brain works.
Yeah. And I think it took me a bit to understand that. Yeah. And now when we say a bit, we're talking about this is years ago at this point, right? But it took a bit to quite understand like what that was all about. But now it's like I don't even think I don't even pause. It doesn't cross my
I
mind.
think you know. Yeah.
I just keep right on moving. There's
So
things
it's
to
not an
do.
emotional thing for you because you know me. We know each other, right?
No.
Okay, so that's turning away. So there's turning towards, there's turning away, and there's turning against. And turning against are the red flags for all of you in a relationship, the red flags for all of us. Okay, so turning against is where you respond harshly to the other person, you are critical towards the other person, or you're dismissive of them, which is so damaging and so hurtful. Okay, so we'll get into that. And I have this book up here because I want to talk to you all about the four horsemen, what Gottman talks about, what predicts, what are the behaviors or the actions or the inactions that predict divorce. Let's go back. So what is turning towards is really, it's a partner, we call them bids. It's a partner's bid on a regular basis, which fosters connection, but you're sending a message to the other person. I hear you, I see you, and I value what you have to say. So let's talk about what bids towards each other, these really good bids, what they are doing and how it's enhancing the relationship. So what is a bid towards each other? What does it do for the relationship? So number one, it's increasing emotional intimacy. I think that probably goes without saying. When we show genuine interest in each other, our thoughts, our experiences, and feelings, it deepens our emotional intimacy with each other, right?
Yeah, totally.
It just deepens the relationship.
I mean, the biggest one is just pausing what you're doing. Eye contact. Eye contact is probably the biggest, right?
It's pausing. You're on your phone and you come in, hey, listen to this. And it's me stopping, looking at my phone and looking up at you like, what's up? That's a bid towards. You're making a bid for connection with me, and I'm responding to it with a, yeah, what's up? Guess what I just heard? That's me responding positively to you.
Yeah.
And how does it make you feel when I do it?
I'm heard. It's a feel good. It's a warm feeling, definitely. Because there's other moments where it's like, I get it. You get it. We're busy. Maybe that's not the time for the person to go in and interject and ask for time, because that person's already using their time for something else, right? Like, pick your moments. It's like we always say, like, down and distance.
You say it all the time.
Know when to do it, right?
Right.
That can be tough.
Yeah, it deepens emotional intimacy. It just lets the person know that I hear you, I see you, and I actually really want to hear you. What's up?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah. You and I've seen this. I mean, we interact with all kinds of people, but you'll see moments, whether it's our family watching from a distance or somebody at work, or maybe it's at church or something, where somebody says something to somebody else and they don't give that other person really much in terms of interest back, time of day. They don't really acknowledge, they seem semi-bothered by the fact that that other person wants a moment. And it's like,
concerning.
It is. It's a moment of pause. You're like, okay, what was that? And it could be nothing, but who knows?
We see it in marriages.
Yeah.
In our personal lives.
Totally.
I've seen it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you make a bid and you turn towards one another. What does it also do? It validates and affirms each other. It just affirms your partner. It's like, hey, I care about you, what you need and what you want. And I'm going to give you a minute. Yeah. Really important. All right. It also encourages open communication. When you consistently respond positively to these bids for your attention, you're creating an environment in which both partners are feeling safe to share. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about your day. Let's talk about what you're feeling. Let's talk about the situation you had with your parents last weekend. People feel safe to share because it's an attitude of, I'm interested in you.
So let me ask you a question. When you coach people on this topic, do you coach them on both sides of the fence?
What do you mean?
As the one that's coming in to, air quotes, interrupt, and also the one that's being interrupted.
Yes.
Like, because I think it's important for somebody to understand that I'm going to be on both sides of this conversation.
Well,
often.
This came up because last week I had two separate clients talking exactly about this in their romantic relationships. And I started talking, and I'm like, so whenever that happens, I almost feel like it's the universe. Like, all right, I need to take this to the podcast because it's coming up in my sessions with people. This is of value for the general public to hear because this is real stuff that's going on in people's lives. Like you all, of course, I would say, you have no idea who these people are, but their themes and their patterns that many, many, many of us deal with and are struggling with or have in our personal lives. And we just don't think to talk about it. We don't think to think about it. That's why I'm making mental notes, or I'm actually writing down my notes after a session going, wow, this is interesting. Two different people have talked about this in their relationships this week. This is something to talk about, and this is something of value. And then somebody else in my personal life also did talk to me about this as well. And yeah, so there you go. I mean, it just came up quite a bit. And I think it's just really important because we all are looking for those tips. Unless you've been in graduate school for psychology, social work, LMF, to licensed marriage and family therapist, or you spent quite a bit of time, you've gone to Gottman's, they have like these weekend retreats as a couple, you've gone to something, or you have spent years in couples therapy. If you just spent years in therapy, you're not going to know these things. Maybe you're reading self-help books. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think the general public doesn't know about these skills that we teach, that I teach.
Yeah.
So very important. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. But I think that we don't know how to implement them when we're a part of a couple. Okay, I hear you, Anna. So how do I do that? Well, here are some of the ways you do it.
It sounds like you're kind of managing your business similar to most businesses where you're analyzing trends. If you hear something once, okay, 2 or 3 or 4 times, that's a trend. That's something to be, maybe I need to take a second, right? And dig a little deeper into that because maybe there's something more to share and something to work on for many people, not just one person.
Yes. And here's how I use this. I use this with high performance leaders. I use it with the people in the workplace, bosses, CEOs. I use it with them because this is communication style, which you talk about quite a bit on the podcast, Tim, because you'll bring it to the workplace. I use this when I'm speaking, when I'm working individually, one-on-one coaching, group coaching with companies.
Yeah.
Because this is the same. Nobody wants to feel dismissed. Nobody wants to feel ignored. Everybody picks up on the micro expressions, and you may not even realize that you're doing this as a person, but you're picking up on that micro expression of the darting eyes, the looking away, the body moving away from you, the head up in the air, the eyes. We all know what an eye roll is, right? We know how that feels, but there are other micro expressions that we're doing in our personal lives and in the workplace that can make us feel not seen and not heard. And it's really, really important that we work on all this no matter where we are in our lives. That's what I always say. This isn't just for your personal life. This is for your professional life, not just for your spouse. It's for your kids.
Yeah.
It's for your neighbor. It's nuanced. But how do you find that way out of a conversation with your neighbor who talks your ear off all the time? You're trying to get in the house and walking your dog. And they're like, I got to get to work. Anywhere. The checkout clerk who you like, but is like, okay, they're not going to stop talking to me and I got to go. I don't want to be here.
They're looking for a moment of your time.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Anywhere you can pull this into your life.
Yeah.
What else is it doing? So it's reinforcing positive interaction patterns with each other. In Gottman's research, couples who habitually turned towards each other, they've got a more positive overall interaction with each other, and they're better equipped to manage conflicts when they do come up, and they do come up, right? So even small amounts of connection, a smile, a nod, a supportive word towards each other, that contributes to a shared feeling of togetherness. So for some of you, I want you to think about this in the workplace. A smile, a nod, a supportive word, it can contribute to a shared feeling of togetherness, maybe connectedness. We're all on the same team at work. In your personal life with your spouse, it makes me feel emotionally more intimate with that person.
Yeah.
He gets me. She heard me.
Yeah.
Can't address it right now, but I know he heard me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think at work, the big one at work is just moments of just positive, whether it's affirmation of something or just positive feedback to somebody else. Those little moments, those don't come up very often. The other side of that conversation comes up, it feels like all the time. Like, oh man, why did that happen? Or why did you not do this or that? Versus attacking it from the opposite side. Like, that was amazing. And maybe next time we can also do this or this or that. It's like the way you say it.
Well, and you want to be genuine. You don't want to get into this toxic positivity thing. You want to be genuine with one another.
Yeah.
And I think that employers who are listening to this would say, that's not what I do. We're not rah-rah all day long. We're not going to do that. We're not coddling people. I totally get that. And I totally understand. This is not about coddling.
No.
This is absolutely not. That's not the world that we're from, whether it be the way we were raised or the world of sport and competition. We're not about coddling. And it is also important to acknowledge when someone has done something well.
Totally.
Or to acknowledge when somebody is making a bid for affirmation. You can make a bid for affirmation or validation without, air quote, coddling your employee.
Yeah, true.
Right?
I see this often like in a bigger setting. whether it's like two teams coming together or it's like the whole entire staff coming together. And there's a moment where it's like, okay, does anybody have anything else they want to like throw on the table or have an announcement or this or that? And it's always really a feel good moment when somebody calls somebody else out in a positive way.
And it's important for morale in the workplace.
Totally.
It is important for morale. And if you don't do that, I would ask you to think twice about the way you run your meetings.
Yeah.
And the way you're leading and the way you're managing people. Because you can't browbeat and put people down all the time and not say anything positive or even neutral towards them. Positivity does help, but you got to be genuine and it has to be real.
So true.
Nobody wants to be made to feel like, geez, come on now. And
here we go
give
again.
Credit when credit's due.
Yeah, it's totally true.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Totally true.
Okay, so but it reinforces those positive interactions and it contributes to long-term relationship satisfaction. That goes without saying. So Gottman found that these stable, successful couples that he researched, they tended to turn towards each other for these bids up to 86% of the time. So that's an important number. 86% of the time, there are these turning toward these bids and they turn towards one another. Whereas couples in these troubled relationships, troubled marriages, they often have much lower, air quote, turning towards responsiveness. So this high rate of turning towards does not mean there's no conflict. I mean, they do fight. They have conflict. They've just learned how to fight well. Rather, it illustrates that partners remain connected, supportive, and available to each other, even in the face of disagreements or busy lifestyles. The AG1 you've heard me talking about for so long just went through a major upgrade. AG1's Next Gen is here. So what is Next Gen? It is a daily health drink clinically shown to support gut health and close common nutrient gaps, even in the healthiest of eaters. With 5 new probiotic strains and additional vitamins and minerals, AG1 Next Gen represents the biggest step forward for daily foundational nutrition. 1 scoop in the morning with 8 to 12 ounces of cold water adds up to whole body health from vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and whole food sourced ingredients. AG1's Next Gen is now one of the most clinically backed greens powders. Can you believe it? They went above and beyond the industry standard in testing and have made a great product even better. AG1, it's been a game changer for me for my mornings. It sets the tone for my day, helps me feel my best, and I genuinely look forward to drinking it in the morning. Now, clinically backed with an advanced formula, this is a perfect time to try AG1 if you haven't already. I've been drinking AG1 for more than 5 years now, and I'm so happy that I am partnering with them. So subscribe today to get the Next Gen of AG1. If you use my link, you're also going to get a free bottle of AG D3K2, an AG1 welcome kit, and 5 of the upgraded AG1 travel packs with your first order. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/Anna to get started with AG1's Next Gen and notice the benefits for yourself. That's drinkag1.com/Anna. What are some practical ways that we can turn towards each other in our relationships in our everyday life? So, number 1, practice active listening. Practice listening to one another, being emotionally available and giving that person the time and attention in that moment. Get off your phone, put your phone down, look away from the computer screen, look at them and listen to them. That goes such a long way. If there's anything I would say, it probably would be that.
Yeah. Don't be distracted. Don't allow yourself to be distracted, right?
Right. Acknowledge the small bids that we make towards each other. Acknowledge them. I can see me doing this more. Like share with you a funny story or a fleeting thought, because you know I always have fleeting thoughts. What do you always say to me? You go, random thoughts by Anna. Like, what do you say? Okay, it's another random thought by Anna. Because we'll be on a walk
in a very fun way. Yeah. But it's like
it's Random Thoughts by Jack Handy on SNL.
I was going to say that's a throwback from Saturday Night Live.
To SNL back in the 90s. We love SNL. But you'll go, okay, random thought there. Where'd that come from? Right. But you're really good. You'll stop and you'll listen, and you don't know what to say to it. You're just like, okay. So there's that.
Thanks for
sharing that. But I just want to say it, but you do listen, and and it's a feel good. I just want to say about this thought I had or this dream I had last night. What it does is it's showing genuine interest in the other person.
Yeah, true.
It's really important. It's a positive stroke to the other person. So even a brief positive response is significant. You know what this is? It just shows friendship. This is how you are for the most part with your friends. And I always think to myself, we're talking about today in other parts of couples therapy, when I was working with couples and now when I work with my individual clients and we're talking about their relationship, you don't treat your friends the way we treat our lovers and our romantic partners and our spouses. If you did, you wouldn't have a partner or you wouldn't have a spouse. You're going to get divorced.
That's fair.
And that's what Gottman was saying.
Yeah.
A lot of this is at the very basis just about friendship and respecting each other. Like you wouldn't have a buddy if you ignored them or blew them off or rolled your eyes at them or like, what? You were sarcastic and annoyed with them. They'd be like, I'm out of here. Screw you. I don't need this friendship. I don't need this. This is not a friendship.
Yeah.
Don't treat the people in your life that you love that way. I think in many ways what it comes down to.
Yeah. Just be a good human. Isn't it easier to be more receptive and happy and engaging than to be the other? It seems to me like it should be.
You know, I had a friend once who was a coworker friend. I never knew when the right time was to come and talk to her and to approach her. And after a while, I just stopped doing it. And I think that was the message she was trying to give me. And I got it loud and clear. But it did affect us because this person would come to me and talk to me at all kinds of random times throughout the day when I was busy. This is when I was in the hospital, charting notes, doing my notes in a patient's chart. And I would stop and look up at her and listen to her, whether it be something funny. I went overboard. So it was too much for me. I didn't have firm enough boundaries with this person, and I was trying to get work done. I was always running to see another patient. And she'd want to tell me something funny, or she'd want to talk about her personal life and the divorce that she was going through at the time, or she was upset, and that would pull me in a little bit because I liked her and we were friends. We actually shared office space together. But I noticed that whenever I needed something from her, if I was upset about something or griping about something at work, she was not as available. And I was really surprised that she couldn't see that. Do you not see how you have no time and patience for me, but I'm giving you all the time?
Yeah.
She couldn't see it. And she snapped at me one time and was like, I don't have time for this. We're all busy, right? I really pulled away from her.
Yeah.
Our relationship was never the same after that because we would make these bids for connection appropriately or inappropriately in the workplace. But this happens all the time at work with people. You're busy, you have a work friendship, and you kind of are each other's supportive person. You just could go to them, whether it be about something at work or your personal life. And when she snapped at me and she turned against me versus turning towards, or she could turn away and say, hey, I want to hear what you have to say. I just don't have time right now. That would have been completely fine. But the turning against and snapping at me really was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it affected me. And it was never the same after that.
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, it's just acknowledging the other person for a minute is really, really important. Even if hey, I want to hear this. And I say this to couples all the time. And I say it to my individual clients all the time. Tell them. And they'll tell me, well, I didn't have time. I couldn't talk to him. I was in the middle of something. I'm slammed with work, or I knew she wanted to talk about this thing with her mom, but and what did you say? I just walked away. Like she knew I was busy. Don't treat each other that way.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, listen, I always say this. Listen, I want to hear this. I can't right now. That's it. That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you have to say. I can't right now. Let's talk tonight. Let's talk in an hour. That's actually from Gottman too. That's very helpful. The other person knows, okay, they want to hear me. They've heard me. They want to hear me. They want to hear this whole thing out, but they can't right now. Yeah, I do see that they are kind of busy. They got stuff going on, but we're going to talk about it later. Okay. Most people are pretty reasonable and respond well to that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think the same is true when it's all business. There's moments where there's business and not business and they mix. One person's busy doing something actually for work and the other person comes in and is like, hey, what do you think about? And it's like you're trying to mix those two worlds together. But it's as critical, I think, when it's all business. Like, let's say, I'm sure you've had a boss where it's like you have the need to get something from them, whether it's advice, approval, direction, whatever it might be. And it always seems like they're always too unavailable. They're always too busy. They don't respond quickly to you or at all, sometimes maybe.
Well, that's a problem.
It's a problem, but it's like that. It's the same thing. It's like understand that like you, the boss, you do need to give moments of being open to receiving any type of time request from your employees.
Right.
And that can be just as damaging because at some point you're going to be like, okay, I'm just going to do it myself. I'm just going to do it. And I'll ask for forgiveness if I need to later on. Because I can't get...
I think a lot of people operate that way.
They do, and should they? I don't know.
Busy.
Yeah.
Don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right. I don't think it's the best way to lead people. if people don't feel seen and heard, they feel taken advantage of, even if they feel like they're overworked, especially if they're underpaid. I think there is a level here where money does talk and people are able and willing to take quite a bit of, some people will take abuse. Some people, I wouldn't call it abuse, but just not the best work environment if money is good. But I think that people get to a point where they're like, I'm out, I'm done. This is not sustainable. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
The communication here sucks. Boss doesn't care. I think it's different for each person. Of course, I do. Once again, it's a nuance. I think that money does talk up to a certain point.
Yeah.
And then people get to the point where they're looking for something else.
Yeah.
I am done.
Yeah. Because
I don't want to do this anymore.
But what's the constant? The constant that drives people away is people. It's the irritation of how this person does this or manages this or doesn't manage this or whatever, fill in the blank. But it's not conditions typically. Mm-hmm. Even some industries it is. But most of the time, isn't it people?
Yes, people. It's people. I remember the other day you said to me, I know you've said this before, and I don't think I told you this, but I thought it. We were going to an early dinner with friends on Friday, and I texted you and said, what time do you think you'll be home? Because you got to change and we got to get ready to go to this early dinner. And you said, it should be fine because I'm sending everybody home early. And I thought to myself, that is so great for morale. I mean, even if people can't leave early, the fact that you've said to your people, hey, everybody, we're all getting out of here early today. It's the weekend. Let's go. We've all worked hard this week. Whatever time it is, even if it's an hour earlier, for these people, it's Chicago. And leaving a 4 versus 5 does make a difference in traffic.
Totally.
You know, these are not remote people. Everybody's in the office. And the fact that you said it is so important for morale that I can leave. I'm done. Work's done. I don't need to sit around until 5 o'clock or whatever time you said they could leave 3. Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah. I think it's really good for helping people. So what you're doing is you're letting them know I see you. I hear you. I've seen you all week. I know what y'all got going on. I know how busy you are. I see how you're all hustling and you're rewarding the hustle.
Yeah.
That is really important for workplace morale.
I think so.
And that goes back to what we're talking about today in Gottman theory. So there you go. What are some other practical ways that we can turn towards one another? I'm going to go through them quickly. And if you need to, if you're driving, you're walking your dog, or you're cleaning the house, if you can stop and write these down, I would do that. If not, come back to where we are in the episode. We're going to be at around minute 36 and write this down. Really write it down or put it in the notes app on your phone and refer back to this when you need it, when you're thinking about communicating better with your husband, your wife, your life partner, whoever that person might be in your life, okay? Number 1, I want you to practice active listening. Number 2, I want you to acknowledge their small bids towards you, okay? Like we talked about that, coming in and me having a fleeting thought. Take a minute, look at them, show genuine interest. It really helps you feel seen. Next one, number 3, use positive verbal and nonverbal cues, okay? So smile, make eye contact with that person, offer a supportive touch, just a hand on the shoulder is so important. It communicates warmth and it communicates presence towards the other person. Number 4, I want you to ask follow-up questions. Really important. So instead of giving the quick, like, that's nice, I want you to delve a little bit deeper. That is going to be, tell me more. Or how did that make you feel? If you have the time in that moment, I want you, the person that they're talking to, you came up to me, you're telling me something about work. I want you to be curious about them. This is another common one. Be curious, show curiosity, tell me more. Even if you don't really want to hear it, I don't care. Tell me more. You may think to yourself, I've heard this story before. This is the same thing we talk about every week. Just button your lips.
Just go with it.
Suck it up. Go with it. All right. Be a team player.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Oh yeah? Really? That happened again? Oh my gosh. That alone, then and you're looking at them, you're smiling. They're going to tell the story again. All right. Be patient with them. Offer validation. Really important. So I understand why you'd feel that way. Totally. Oh gosh, don't we all like take a deep breath and our shoulders come down when we tell somebody something that's going on and they say, I understand why you'd feel that way. Even if it's with like you and me, when maybe I get upset with you and I share with you like why I was upset, what was going through my mind. You've been like, oh yeah, I can understand why you'd feel that way.
Yeah, totally.
It goes a long way, right?
Yeah.
Or that sounds tough. That sounds really tough. Ugh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know that it's just such
sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
How can I help you with that? Right.
Well,
like how can I support that?
That can be sarcastic sounding.
But no, but you say it genuinely. Like, I'd like to really help you through this. Like, what can I do?
Yeah. How can I help you?
Yeah.
Like, how can I make this better?
Yeah.
And Tim, you're a dude, especially women. We don't want you to fix. I don't want you to help me. I don't want you to fix it. I want you just to say, so I like it. That sounds tough better. Like, that sounds tough. So for men, let the women, oftentimes we just need to do like a verbal vomit and we need to download all that's in our heads. And that's all we need. I don't need you to fix it. There can be women who are this way too, who are the fixers, and the women who give advice. Don't give advice. Don't fix it. Just let your partner, your person, just let them download. Because oftentimes that's all we need.
Well, as a guy, I think you should be saying in your head, it's like, listen more, listen better. Just listen, right?
Because we feel heard and respected.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, really important.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one is share appreciation. Say thank you. Thanks for always taking the time to listen to me. I know you're busy. And I've done this, I think, with you when I said, like, I know that you were busy the other day. Thanks for listening to me. I mean, I think that's really important, acknowledging, and you said this to me last week, that you have to work on it because we'll think it in our heads towards each other, but then we won't say it. I try to be pretty good about saying to you, like, that was really great that he did that. And I'll say, hey, thanks for doing that. And you said this to me. You said, I'll often think it, but sometimes I'll forget to say it.
Yeah.
And that's important to do.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. So before we end, I want to share with you the 4 horsemen of what John Gottman, Julie Gottman, and their team gave these 4 behaviors that could predict divorce when they were in that love lab and in all the research that they have done. Okay. So if you have this in your relationship, I recommend you get therapy. Couples therapy, see somebody who is seasoned, knows what they're doing, has been around, and go get therapy because these are big ones.
So you're saying when you read these off, if you have either done this, you're aware that you've done this to your partner.
You're engaging in this.
Or you've observed it being done to you. If any of this rings true to you.
Yes. If you're doing this and it's done to you, you know how it feels.
Yeah.
You know how it feels because if you are doing this to the person, they're probably doing one of these back to you. So you know what it feels like. And you also probably don't need me to tell you that there's yellow flags, if not red flags, coming up for you in your relationship already. And my saying this right now is probably just an affirmation that, oh yeah, we do engage in that poor communication tactic and we need to get some help with it. Okay. Because you can get help. You can get out of it. You all don't know what I know. You all don't know what the therapists who are trained in this know. But you can learn it and you can change your behavior and do different. There's always hope, unless you're in a violent situation. That's different. But for most relationships where there's no domestic violence, but if you're hurting somebody emotionally and verbally, you got to work on this stuff or you're not going to make it, according to Gottman. All right. So number 1 is criticism. If you are in this critical relationship where you're being critical of the other person and they're critical of you, and that seems to be a theme, that's one to really pay attention to and to be concerned about. Having contempt for one another. And that's just bad. Just having contempt. Can you imagine?
No.
Defensiveness. Always being defensive. Always got your back up. Not being able to listen to feedback. It's never me. It's you. It's not me. It's not me. Defensiveness. The last one is stonewalling. Stonewalling is just really ignoring the person, giving them the silent treatment. Very damaging. And the thing that's interesting is that these are predictors, but it doesn't mean that you can't learn differently and come out of this. I know that in their work that they have done and what Gottman therapists do, once you learn about this and you learn to do different, you could absolutely change and you could absolutely move into a healthier, more loving, more fulfilling marriage partnership with the other person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just a predictor that if you don't move out of this way of communicating, it's not looking good. So get that help if you need it and learn to do different if this is anything that you're experiencing in your marriage. Okay. Really, really important. So there's a lot more to this. This is just literally scratching the surface of this therapy. And there are other therapies out there that are also really, really wonderful. All that to say, if any of this is something that you're experiencing in your relationship and you think to yourself, wow, we got some issues, go see somebody. It's the best thing that couples do. It's the best thing that we did years ago. We were really struggling in our relationship because of
absolutely true.
It really was very helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I hope that was helpful to all of you. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. And until next time, mad love, everyone.
All right.